Next.
Yeah, so as we've been saying, this is basically to formalize how the impeachment inquiry is going to move forward from here. And so it sets forth a couple rules. One, it sets forth rules for public hearings related to impeachment in the Intelligence Committee. And that's important because there's been a lot of accusations that this is happening behind closed doors. One of the other things it does is it sets forth sort of what Republicans are going to get to do during all of this. They are going to have the power to call witnesses. However, their power is pretty limited because, for instance, the ranking member of the Intelligence Committee, who is the top Republican, can only get a witness if the top Democrat agrees. And so there are some limitations there where if Republicans want to subpoena someone, they're going to have to get agreement with Democrats. I want to play for you just a little bit of what we heard before this vote happened, and then we'll talk about some of the interesting things that came out of the vote. Nancy Pelosi saying that the vote on the resolution today was an important kind of protection that the Constitution guarantees.
The genius of the Constitution, a separation of powers, 3 co-equal branches of government to be a check and balance on each other. And it's to that
and then I want to also note Kim Schreier from our state, our understanding is that she did vote in favor of this. We had talked about this prior to today. One of the reasons that Democrats maybe didn't want to take this vote is that it put some swing district Democrats in a tough spot. You know, certainly Kim Schreier is in a swing district. Something you'd pointed out, Liz, is that 2 Democratic members did vote against the resolution today. Democratic Representative Colin Peterson from Minnesota and Jeff Van Drew from New Jersey voted against it. Now, interesting, Republicans were all on the same page. Every Republican who voted in the House today voted against moving forward with this resolution.
You know what's interesting is, I mean, we have talked about this for a while. Nancy Pelosi came out a few months ago and said, we're not interested in taking this vote, and here she is. We're now taking this vote.
Sure.
What changed here?
Well, I think there's a couple things. Yeah, they didn't think that they had to take this vote in the House, but we know that the president and the administration had sort of said, we don't think it's legitimate. They were using the non-vote as a reason to say, this is not a legitimate inquiry. And so in a way, they dared Democrats to take this vote. And something else they wanted is they wanted Democrats and Republicans, for that matter, on the record as to say, do you support moving forward this impeachment? I want to play for you quick. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy spoke earlier before the vote, talking about what he saw as a Republican being at stake here.
This House is so much better than what is transforming today. I believe everyone who runs for this office runs to solve a problem. But when you go back to the American public with the achievement of more subpoenas than laws, that is not why you ran.
Yeah, and I think another big point to take away, I wanted to pull back up the final vote. I had mentioned no Republicans signed on to this. And that's important moving forward. You know, the Republican Party has been, accused of being fractured on this issue. That shows that they're totally on the same page, at least in the House. And if eventually there's a vote to impeach the president, it goes to the Senate. And remember, they're the jury. Right. They decide ultimately whether the president leaves office. They're not going to. Senate Republicans are never, at this point, if nothing changes, going to oust the president. And so you have to keep that in mind as this moves forward, saying, regardless of what happens in the House, at the end of the day, it's the Senate that really matters and their votes that really matter.
Very different.